Thank you, Tatiana. That's now I realized why Tatiana refused me in help of translator, because I was her boss. It's a revenge, I think. Okay, I will speak in English. I perhaps want to excuse if I make some mistakes, but I decided to practice English. So, good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and mountain skiers. Today, I want to talk about my hobby, about my passion, and maybe share with you one secret about Kazakhstan. You just listened a presentation about Kazakhstan, yes, and it looked like the usual country, maybe, but there is one secret. There is one secret in Kazakhstan, and not many people know about it. Yes, and you will know, and that's why that means that you can't just leave Kazakhstan because you will know too much. Just notice it. Okay, it's a click. Yes, just a moment. Yeah. I hope you've already have been in Shimulak, yes? Yes, that's super. Right in front of you there was a unique archaeological site. But I bet that you didn't notice it. And really no one noticed it, and even scientists usually don't know about it. Some scientists maybe know, but not many. Not many. It's situated in that place. It's a unique stone place with pictures. And there are about 300 only big sites like this place in Kazakhstan. It's a small place, a small site, but there are about 300 big sites of petroglyphs, of pictures on rock in Kazakhstan, and more than 300,000 pictures in country. For example, in Italy, there are only 90,000 of them. And the same quantity as Italy is only in the east-south part of Kazakhstan. But it's nearly unknown to the people not only aboard, but to the local people too. I think if people knew about it, Kazakhstan could be as popular among tourists as ancient Egypt, Rome or Greece. I think crowds of tourists would come here, but we don't see them. Nonetheless, these sites tell us history in pictures. The oldest petroglyphs in Kazakhstan date back to the Paleolithic era, about 20. Excuse me, I missed. It's the main sites of petroglyphs in Kazakhstan, and there are really a lot of them, different types, different kinds, and the most ancient dated to the 20,000 years ago. But to be honest, there aren't many of that old. Most petroglyphs here were made during the Bronze Age, more than 4,000 years ago. It's only a little later the time the Great Pyramids were built, 1,000 years before the Trojan War, and 300 years before the birth of the prophet Abraham. At that time, a special culture flourished here in Kazakhstan. Local tribes were skilled blacksmiths and made brilliant bronze weapons. They rode chariots, you can see. It was the kind of tanks of antiquity. They used chariots much earlier than ancient Egyptians or Greeks. It was the high tech of Bronze Age. Some of these tribes later, you see, the red area is the area of these tribes. We call them Andronov culture. Some of them then moved to south. They conquered Iran and northern India, and their descendants are modern Iranians and members of the higher castes in India. Another part went to China. Historians know them as Xia culture. They merged with the local In people and founded the first Chinese state, about which we know for sure because it left inscriptions. Thus, these tribes founded three great civilizations: Iranian, Indian, and Chinese. And some part of people stayed in Central Asia. From them came the Saka tribes, who later merged with Turks, and their descendants now walk on the streets of Kazakhstan. You can see them on the streets, their descendants. And these people painted so much on rocks that Kazakhstan might hold the world record for ancient rock paintings. Why this? First, the local climate helped preserve the petroglyphs. Second, there are vast spaces and not very many people. Many rocks were destroyed during the industrial era. Third, the local Asian tribes loved to draw on rocks. They were really fun with it. They were drunk of drawing on rocks. It's difficult to find the suitable stone. Not every stone is suitable for petroglyphs. You need some certain rocks. Flat slabs, usually sandstone. Turn it towards the sky at such an angle that they can get a special tan. In Kazakhstan, near the mountains, in river valleys, there are many such rocks. Just pure luck. And there are another secret. Do you know about ayahuasca? The drink of Brazilian Indians. And I think, of course, you've heard about hashish. Yeah? To smoke. Yeah. They are drugs. We are absolutely against the drugs. But in ancient times, there was no police, but there were priests and wizards. They used such substances to communicate with spirits. Yes? And to get some creative as modern designers, for example. The local tribes in Kazakhstan had their own stuff. Ephedra. You can see. It's a low-growing plant. It affects like coca leaves. Now it's forbidden to collect and consume it, but of course there was no such bans in ancient times. These tribes, these ancient people collected it and prepared a special drink, soma or haoma. They drank it, experienced hallucination or mystical vision, and then drew on the rocks. Probably it was the case because historians tried to find the logic in the placement of ancient drawings. Often you can see some very convenient rocks for drawing, but they're empty. And sometimes you see not very suitable stones, but they are full of pictures. There's only one connection that was found. Usually near these rocks you can find ephedra. We think that it was the third reason of such huge quantity of petroglyphs in Kazakhstan. So, what they draw? In the most ancient pictures, we see bulls. They worshipped two bulls, and then deers appeared. Often they have huge horns with many branches. Sometimes the drawings depict some myths. For example, just a moment. For example, you can see on the right, men and women lift a child. We think that it's a myth about a birth of young god. Sometimes there are some other kind of myths. For example, on the left, you see God's marriage. We call it God's marriage. Maybe it was connected with cult of fertilization. Sometimes we see warriors. Sometimes we see giants, by the way, and in some cases, these pictures were added later with additional pictures. For example, I couldn't find the good photo, the good picture, but we saw giants which were drawn in Bronze Age, and several centuries later they added archers that shooting arrows at the giant. We think that it might show a change of folks or religions. They eliminated the old gods. Sometimes we see things connected with war. For example, in Bronze Age, they usually pictured warriors with clubs. Later, in Turk's epoch, we see riders with spears and arrows. Sometimes we see things. Already we see a lot of animals, and the most often we see gods. They worship gods, and this animal were devoted to the sky, were devoted to the sun, and archaeologists trace origin of modern Kazakh design from their horses, from their curved horses. Just a moment. Yeah. Sometimes we see chariots. If you remember, I mentioned that it was a high-tech technology of Bronze Age. By the way, your medals here, yes, your medals here in shape of tumars are amulets. You can also see the ancient symbols on them. It's a shanrak, the top part of yurt. It symbolizes home, family, lineage. It's a sign of protection. Similar symbols you can find in rock drawings. The most famous drawings are people with sun heads. Just a moment, it's warriors, and with sun heads. Many think that they're aliens. I doubt, because sometimes these aliens ride bulls without saddle, but sometimes they had one part of male's body. Very good, very giant. It's unusual for aliens, I think. Historians believe that they are more likely Asian gods from whom later gods of ancient Iran and India originated: Shiva, Vishnu, and others. Sometimes there are just scenes from the usual life. Once we found a painting, it showed two men riding a horse, and in front of them stood an angry woman. Perhaps it was a husband returning late from an ancient pub with a friend to his wife. Another time we found a drawing, and there were three people riding on one horse. We decided that it was the first Kazakh taxi. Rock paintings tell us about ancient believings. They tell us about how society was organized. For example, there are very few images of women in ancient times. This means that society was patriarchal. From the drawings we can understand how ancient people dressed, what weapons they had, what domestic animals they had, and what they did. So, over more than 4,000 years, a huge chronicle has been accumulated. As I've said, more than 300,000 drawings. It's like a giant comic book. There is nothing like it anywhere else in the world. And this tradition is still alive. In some regions in Kazakhstan, when a son is born, the father carves his name on the same rocks near the ancient pictures. So it's a tradition more than 4,000 years old. But a few people know about it, as I've said, because scientists lack the resources and money to study this heritage. Moreover, the petroglyphs are being destroyed. Time wears it down. Okay, I'm nearly over. Rocks destroyed by companies to get building materials, and of course, the modern hooligans and vandals write their beautiful names over the ancient pictures. But there are some people who strive to preserve this heritage. We here in Almaty created a society called Petroglyphs Hunters. Together, no, it's not Petroglyphs Hunters, it's an example of spoiled petroglyphs. Yeah. With archaeologists, we study these petroglyphs. We are trying to find a new sites. We describe them, and then we give the report to the historians. And we struggle against companies that try to destroy this ancient heritage to get profit. And usually, by the way, usually the local community support us, and often we are happy to save these petroglyphs. So when you go abroad, often no one knows where is Kazakhstan. Somewhere between Russia, China, and India. I usually ask people, what do you know about Kazakhstan? And they, very rare, they told me about some athletes, some famous athletes, Golovkin, Sabiev, and Vinokurov. We want to change it. We believe that maybe in several years, if we be successful in promotion of petroglyphs heritage, Kazakhstan and his history would be as known in the world as history of old Roman Empire, for example, and old Greece. And if you will come to Kazakhstan next time, not in ski season, for example, in summer, in autumn, you will have no chance to ski, yes? But you will have a chance to touch the ancient history. You will have a chance to get part, maybe, in our expedition. You feel yourself like Lara Croft or Indiana Jones, and maybe you make your own scientific discovery. So, next time, please don't limitate you with sport, but touch our ancient heritage. Thank you.
Formation in modern time.